This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information and to find out how you can volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read and recorded by Betsy Bush. Marquette, Michigan, October 2006. Rootabaga Stories by Carl Sandburg. Part 3. 3 stories about the golden buckskin whincher. People: Blixie Bimber, Peter Potato Blossom Wishes, Jimmy the Flea, Silas Baxby, Fritz Axenbacks, James Sixbixdix, Jason Squiff the Cistern Cleaner, Rags Habakkuk the Ragman, 2 daughters of the Ragman, 2 blue rats, a circus man with spot cash, a moving picture actor, a taxicab driver. The Story of Blixie Bimber and the Power of the Gold Buckskin Whincher. Blixie Bimber grew up looking for luck. If she found a horseshoe, she took it home and put it on the wall of her room with a ribbon tied to it. She would look at the moon through her fingers, under her arms, over her right shoulder, but never, never over her left shoulder. She listened and picked up everything anybody said about the groundhog, and whether the groundhog saw his shadow when he came out the 2nd of February. If she dreamed of onions, she knew the next day she would find a silver spoon. If she dreamed of fishes, she knew the next day she would meet a strange man who would call her by her first name. She grew up looking for luck. She was 16 years old and quite a girl, with her skirts down to her shoe tops, when something happened. She was going to the post office to see if there was a letter for her from Peter Potato Blossom Wishes, her best chum, or a letter from Jimmy the Flea, her best friend she kept steady company with. Jimmy the Flea was a climber. He climbed skyscrapers and flagpoles and smokestacks and was a famous steeplejack. Blixie Bimber liked him because he was a steeplejack a little, but more because he was a whistler. Every time Blixie said to Jimmy, "I got the blues. Whistle the blues out of me," Jimmy would just naturally whistle till the blues just naturally went away from Blixie. On the way to the post office, Blixie found a gold buckskin whincher. There it lay in the middle of the sidewalk. How and why it came to be there she never knew, and nobody ever told her. "It's luck," she said to herself as she picked it up quick. And so she took it home and fixed it on a little chain and wore it around her neck. She did not know, and nobody ever told her, a gold buckskin whincher is different from just a plain common whincher. It has a power. And if a thing has a power over you, then you just naturally can't help yourself. So, around her neck, fixed on a little chain, Blixie Bimber wore the gold buckskin whincher, and never knew it had a power, and all the time the power was working. "The first man you meet with an X in his name, you must fall head over heels in love with him," said the silent power in the gold buckskin whincher. And that was why Blixie Bimber stopped at the post office and went back again asking the clerk at the post office window if he was sure there wasn't a letter for her. The name of the clerk was Silas Baxby. For 6 weeks he kept steady company with Blixie Bimber. They went to dances, hayrack rides, picnics, and high jinks together. All the time the power in the gold buckskin whincher was working. It was hanging by a little chain around her neck and always working. It was saying, "The next man you meet with 2 X's in his name,
You must leave all and fall head over heels in love with him."
She met the high school principal. His name was Fritz Axenbacks. Blixie dropped her eyes before him and threw smiles at him. And for 6 weeks he kept steady company with Blixie Bimber. They went to dances, hayrack rides, picnics, and hijinks together. "Why do you go with him for steady company?" her relatives asked.
"It's a power he's got," Blixie answered. "I just can't help it. It's a power."
"One of his feet is bigger than the other. How can you keep steady company with him?" they asked again. All she could answer was, "It's a power." All the time, of course, the gold buckskin whincher on the little chain around her neck was working. It was saying,
If she meets a man with 3 X's in his name, she must fall head over heels in love with him.
In a band concert in the public square one night, she met James Sixbixdix. There was no helping it. She dropped her eyes and threw her smiles at him. And for 6 weeks they kept steady company, going to band concerts, dances, hayrack rides, picnics, and hijinks together. "Why do you keep steady company with him? He's a musical soup eater," her relatives said to her. And she answered,
"It's a power. I can't help myself."
Leaning down with her head in a rainwater cistern one day, listening to the echoes against the strange wooden walls of the cistern, the gold buckskin whincher on the little chain around her neck slipped off and fell down into the rainwater.
"My luck is gone," said Blixie.
Then she went into the house and made 2 telephone calls. One was to James Sixbixdix, telling him she couldn't keep the date with him that night. The other was to Jimmy the Flea, the climber, the steeplejack.
"Come on over. I got the blues and I want you to whistle 'em away,"
was what she telephoned Jimmy the Flea. And so, if you ever come across a gold buckskin whincher, be careful. It's got a power. It'll make you fall head over heels in love with the next man you meet with an X in his name. Or it will do other strange things because different whinchers have different powers. The Story of Jason Squiff and Why He Had a Popcorn Hat, Popcorn Mittens, and Popcorn Shoes. Jason Squiff was a cistern cleaner. He had greenish yellowish hair. If you looked down into a cistern when he was lifting buckets of slush and mud, you could tell where he was. You could pick him out down in the dark cistern by the lights of his greenish yellowish hair. Sometimes the buckets of slush and mud tipped over and ran down on the top of his head. This covered his greenish yellowish hair, and then it was hard to tell where he was, and it was not easy to pick him out down in the dark where he was cleaning the cistern. One day Jason Squiff came to the Bimber house and knocked on the door. "Did I understand," he said, speaking to Mrs. Bimber, Blixie Bimber's mother, "do I understand you sent for me to clean the cistern in your backyard?"
"You understand exactly such," said Mrs. Bimber. "And you are welcome as the flowers that bloom in the spring, tra-la-la."
"Then I will go to work and clean the cistern, tra-la-la," he answered, speaking to Mrs. Bimber. "I'm the guy, tra-la-la," he said further, running his excellent fingers through his greenish yellowish hair, which was shining brightly. He began cleaning the cistern. Blixie Bimber came out in the backyard. She looked down in the cistern. It was all dark. It looked like nothing but all dark down there. By and by she saw something